2 games down, an hour and 15 minutes as well, which means that we have an hour and 45 minutes before the queues closed and we find the 50 teams that are going to move forward to the grand finals. Because we're in the semifinals right now, chat, here at the DreamHack Open featuring Fortnite, where the European competition is starting to heat up. Of course, we got to watch Wolfies and CRR take it away in that last game there. That is now their second victory royale, and I believe they ended off that game with 13 eliminations. Levin, I don't think it's much of a surprise, though, that Wolfies and CRR are up on top.
No, not at all. They understand how they need to play to be successful. And a word of advice, right, to the rest of the lobby. Don't allow Wolfies and CR to bring the fight to you. That's where they're most comfortable. When they can control the pace of the fight, they aren't going to lose, right? So you need to understand that you need to control things, slow things down if you need to, and really put things into your own hands.
Here we got a highlight reel.
I love it. This is going to be awesome. We talked about Giannis and Reason. Like, what is going down with them? How many elims were they racking up? And you're seeing that they were cooking as well. They did. Okay. We're talking about cooking. That was fancy. That was like one of those fancy moves you see at Benihana. I don't know how many of you out there go to Benihana, but that was fancy right there. Kelly, help me out here. Am I right? Was that? I don't know, Levin, you ever been in Benihana?
No, but I'd like to go someday. Sure, why not?
Hey, he's just talking about all fancy foods and all fancy plays, but yes, that was some great work right there, Kelly.
Yeah, Wolfies and CR are obviously up on top right now in first place. They have 2 victory royales as well as 28 eliminations. But Milan and Chapix hot on their heels right now, 212 points sitting in second place. Flick and Anas are going to be in third. Refsguard and Scrams in fourth. And Janice and Reason is in fifth. What an incredibly stacked top 5 teams.
I agree. And you know, Clement Nakos is there as well. Podesai and Mason looking really solid. And Flick and Anas, man, those are one of the ones that we all thought they would get a nice performance out of them. Maybe the FNCS Trios Championship with Thomas HD. But a lot of things that I'm seeing here is redemption stories. Players that they felt like they did not perform really well in the FNCS Trios looking to make a statement here in the DreamHack Duos.
I know a lot of people like to ask about where's the big Grawl, how's Mongrel doing? Well, Mongrel and Mitro currently are sitting in 24th place, so they are qualifying through, but we do have to look at our bottom 10 right now to see what the threshold is, Levin, and it looks like it is 128 points, but look at Sneezy and Robob, 51st.
Yeah, if you look at this cutoff, it's going to be tight. We can just say it already. There will be some big names who missed out. Look at the names. You could call this a top 10 and I'd believe you. Like, this is really, really interesting to see who's going to miss out and who's actually going to make it in. ZQ and Kaizen, who we got to see a bit last game, like, they are barely making it in. Like, a bunch of good teams barely making it.
Yeah, we've been talking about Kenzel this entire time with Wakey. Kenzel just on the cost 129. So Sifik and Siberia, Jake as well. I mean, you're right, man. There's going to be big names, but that just means our grand finals, Kelly, are going to be full of some huge names competing for that grand prize of $250,000 or at least a lion's share of that.
Yeah, it's going to be incredible. I'm just looking right now on our leaderboards, all 50 teams that are going through, and there might be like 1 or 2 teams that I don't know who they are. This is going to be insane, and we're not even halfway done with the semifinals, chat. We got another hour and 40 minutes to go before queues close, and then usually we have about another 20 to 30 minutes after that. But let us know in chat, who are you rooting for? Which team do you think is going to be performing the best out of the very best? Because we do have a game ready to go very soon. But gentlemen, I gotta ask you, I just asked chat, Levin, is there a team that we haven't been able to watch yet that you think is going to be making it into the grand finals?
Ooh, this is a tough one. A team that I'm really excited about who we've not seen is Cami and Paco. They are a really, really strong duo who I think have potential to be one of the better duos we see moving forward from this event and into next season. And I hope we get the chance to watch them and see what's really going on with them.
Yeah, same question for you, Sancho. We've been able to watch some great teams so far, but who do you want to watch now?
I definitely want to watch 2 different duos. There's Moraine and Jaspe. They were contesting Mongrel, Mitro, and Tayson at Stark Industry. Be interesting to know where they are dropping. And as well, I'm looking at the leaderboard. Andalix and Nate. We mentioned that, right? The duos champions before. Let's see where they're going to be as well. They are currently in 28th place. So I would like to see some of their play. But if I get more Wolfies and CRR the rest of the way, I'm not complaining. We're talking about some Benihana skills there, you know? I'm surprised no one out. Chat, help me out here. Benihana, anyone? Anyone? Am I the only one?
I think I've been once a long time ago.
We're talking
still
about
exist.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about some fancy chefs. We're talking about all the flaring and the twirling. And I mean, CRR and Wolfie's probably so far with the highlight using that crash pad play. Levin said, that was cheeky.
It was a bit cheeky indeed. Another cheeky team right here. We got Hen and McSqueezy in 32nd place. Of course, Demon Drip Wamba Bomba's in 25th place. Demons Munch and Pablo are going to be holding in 39th place. Passive and Peach 38th. Look at it, like so many big names. And of course, Mariah Jaspe, the team that you just said, are currently sitting in 42nd place. So they might need to change up their strategy just a little bit, that drop spot that you were talking about, if they want to go into the grand finals confidently, because that's what they're going to want, chat. $250,000 is on the line here. And if you guys wanted to be a part of the action, but for some reason you weren't able to compete yesterday, well, we got North American East that's going to be starting Thursday, this following Thursday. And then of course the semifinals and grand finals is going to be that following Friday. And then after that, the very next week, it's North American West, because it's the DreamHack Open. We do this every month, all 3 tournaments. And everyone's been enjoying the duos competition. Levin, what has the reaction been from the community now that we have the duos tournament here at the DreamHack Open?
Just nothing but excitement, right? They've wanted duos, The reality is people have wanted duos, and now that we finally have them, we're getting that reaction that we expected, where people are excited about compared to Fortnite right now.
That's right. They wanted the duos and they got them, and we got a game ready to go. So I'm going to head off, guys, and I'm going to let you two take it away for game number 3.
Thank you, Kelly. Now, this is game 3 of our broadcast. All the games are happening simultaneously, and we're getting closer and closer. We've got about an hour and a half here. I am Sancho West alongside 11-2K. 11-2K, man, you representing EU here. It's always awesome to have you on the cast. So far, what has been the biggest surprise looking at the leaderboard so far today?
Well, taking a look at the leaderboards, I think, it's funny because the biggest surprise is probably that there aren't many surprises, right? We are seeing names who we expected to see. And right. Typically, right, you expect to see a bunch of names who you haven't really seen much of before, especially in open competition, right? But the majority of people we're seeing in this top 50 are people who you expect to see. And so great stuff coming out today from the majority of the top players in the scene.
Great stuff, great performances, and awesome victory royales. And now we're going to see the chaos, a little taste of what's going down here at Stark Industries. It looks like Vasco and Twos were able to get that Stark chest really easily here, but not a lot of great power weapons out of that. I mean, you were hoping that you have something a lot stronger than what Toos has, and maybe Vasco has that in his back pocket, but now you're seeing Moneymaker picking up a elim there on Trapeze, but Toos now has him. Now this is interesting. I rarely see this outfit in a competitive scene, but Groot making an appearance here, man. I am Groot getting some I am elims.
Yeah, he is most definitely Groot right now, and he's looking to inflict some pain on his enemies here on the hunt for Moneymaker. Already, really picking away at that shield, but I'm gonna need to look to finish things off here. He's got that blue pump in hand, needs to make some decent work of it, and Moneymaker making it, a bit of a long drawn out fight. They're trying to attack from different angles, really pincer him in, but he's doing a great job to get away.
We're seeing the cat and mouse game. Moneymaker finally gets trapped right there. Eventually you will get caught. And right there, Moneymaker gets converted into some points for Toos. Toos with 20. No, Iron Man, run, Groot, run! Yes, not what you want to hear. The Unibeam going out as Slicks and Rifle from Become Legends goes down in the feed. They have been eliminated. Considering they are currently in the top 50, that's going to be a big deal. Always watch out for Unibeam, and of course, always watch out for Reason and Janice. This is the second time we're seeing him on the semifinals broadcast, and they didn't get the victory out, but Levin, they got a lot of elims that last game.
Look, they're sitting pretty comfortably right now, right? They're they're 6th right now, I believe, right? With 195, they're in 6th place. Mm-hmm. And so, there's not much to worry about. One thing I do think we've not mentioned once before, right? With some of the teams in the top 3, right? With your Wolfies and CR, Milan and Chapix, it's rare that we see a team win the semis and then come out and win the finals. You know, are they using up their luck?
Right.
You know, do they need to start to pace themselves, right? Is that a thing you think about, or is it like, nah, look, they still got a shot if they continue to play the way they're playing?
Reason and Giannis patrolling Sweaty Sands, and he's just showing you as well as we see 6.2Y. I wonder where 6.2X is. And hello, Reason says 6.2Y is here. Down goes Reason at 6.2Y with a great answer. As we're seeing the feed, it's X, that's AB in this match as well. Yamper going down, or Jamper's going down at 6.2Y does confirm Reason. So now it's up to Giannis, who's in a pickle for himself. He's in a 2v1 situation. It's going to get really dicey here at the third party from 6.2Y. It's gonna show up eventually as Bomba gets a full elim on AB. So some of the NA East, we haven't yet seen them on the top 50s here, 11, and we've been seeing that that's what happens once it gets into the semifinal stage. Eventually they slowly drop, but what a nice ambush hit for Giannis. Now he has a Metro edit, the Mongrel Classic, I'm sorry, and doesn't fully get that guy lit alone, but that was a good opportunity to get that moment to breathe and pop that 50 pot.
Yeah, sorry, I said Mongo there. Giannis is going to really have to pull out something amazing here. He needs to try get access to Reason's reboot card and try pick him up and get away.
Run away as much as possible. But what I wanted to say is that this is the taste of what happens in terms when it comes to duos. You're seeing that you're not going to get a true, free, uncontested drop. As Giannis here did his best, and Janus goes down from Pupus. And that is what we're talking about here. You're not going to get free drops. You're not going to be uncontested. You're going to have to work as much as possible, and you're going to have someone to deal with, because it's just math when it comes down to it. There's going to be 50 duos versus 33 trios, and the POIs, there's not a lot. In the scavenger routes, there's not a lot for a duo team to split up here. So you're going to have to work on drops. And Levin, you kind of mentioned that the
no, oh no, oh sit down, sit down,
my
Brown.
goodness, through the window.
Browner, he's just browned all over you. He's made you look like an absolute fool. What was he playing at? Oh dear.
You know, you don't need to be a mathematician to know that a headshot from a sniper is going to get you knocked. You know what I'm saying? It's just absolutely obliteration. As we see, no doubt Sammy has to laugh about that, as well as QG looking really strong that first elim. I'm just not sure. Maybe Browner was like trying to look at the house, maybe wanting to move in possibility. No matter what, it's going to get moved out so far, but some highlight plays already happening here in DreamHack, and I'm loving it.
And now you see here, the play to camp.
The card?
The card, yeah. He's gonna hide behind the rock and try. If Saban does indeed come for this, this may get interesting. I believe Saban is the arrow on the right?
Yes, that would have to be.
So
yes.
If Saban walks into this trap, that will be an absolute travesty, and I want to see it happen for just the laughs, really.
And there it is, the yellow arrow, multiple arrows coming in now. It's going to be a sticky situation as Mia and the duo mate. I think Mia, they always have that same kind of tag here, but now we're seeing the battle between Podesai, Mason, and DFabs and Reets, and we're seeing the NA West being so aggressive as Chinkin's duo's out in the distance, and Reed's getting a knock here. DFabs and Reed so aggressive, pushing in. They have all ping. It doesn't matter. They're not gonna let that slow them down. Now they get the confirmation on Podesai, and now DFabs and Reed, they got 109 points. They're looking decent. They're still got a lot of work to do considering they're all paced here, but hey, they could certainly do it. They could certainly get up in here.
Yeah, and I wonder though how effective this has been for them, right? This is how they're comfortable playing, right? They want to be pushing, they want to be W keying, but you know, so far I've not seen their names in the top 50, and I just don't know if this sort of play style is going to translate. I guess it's their only option, right? Playing off ping, maybe you just try force the issue. Maybe you can see if you can pull something out the bag, but eventually, it's going to catch up to you, right? Playing in these stat lobbies, trying to WK against some of the on-ping top EU players, at what point do you decide, hey, this isn't working out?
I mean, you might be right. I mean, just to show you how aggressive they are, this is going into this match. They have played 5 games already. Their average elims is 2.4, so they're essentially winning their their drop spot engagements, but they're not placing well. Their average placement is 30th, and you're taking a look here. So they're surviving a little bit, and this is where they falter, going from early game to mid game. And Sion Height gets some tags, and DFABs just misses, gives that Sion Height a haircut as the sniper shot going off. And I mentioned at the opening of the show, we talked about the duo meta in 11. Where do you see the sniper being a factor going forward, as we're seeing how the pros could see if it is a great use in-game situations?
Well, I think the snipers more or less had the same role for since its inception in the game, right? I think it's a great tool to have in team modes when you have someone who's a prominent sniper, someone who can really get you some surge tags and whatnot. But in general, if you have nothing else to pick up and you're a good sniper, you're gonna take it and potentially connect with some nice snipes, right?
Mm-hmm. Looking for connection right here, doesn't get it. And we're taking a look at the replay. Primzy and Versa locate and surround a duo, leaving one standing opponent with nowhere to go, getting a nice confirmation right there and a point conversion. Every duo elim is 10 points. That's going to be very strong. I'm trying to remember who Chinken duo is, because I know Sion Height is somebody that Chinken has played with before.
Stomp.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
So Chinken and Stompy here. Stompy part of that Refs Guard and Scram trio in the FNCS. Trying to find a way to back to redemption, and some greed coming through and some tags on the backside. DFABs and Reet now. This is where they typically get in trouble here in the semifinals. They usually finish around the 30th place here. So they're on average. They're going to have to do something out of the sort of normality here to survive this engagement, Levin.
Yeah, for one of the top NA trios sorry, not trios. This is not trios, Evan. For 2 of the top NA players, better NA players, I'm a bit disappointed with the way they've approached this fight, right? Obviously, the shots from Stompy came in on their kind of a side wall, and for you to take shots from your side wall and then not opt to cover up your backside, it's a bit odd to me, right? A bit of a silly mistake, lackadaisical on their behalf. But it's not the best of positions, right? Material isn't looking good. Their overall positioning on the map now isn't looking good. And considering that they've not been able to have really good end games, right? This is going to contribute to it. It's going to take a lot for them to turn things around, because now their mid-game position is messed up. It seems as if Shinken and Stompy aren't done with this. And Shinken and Stompy are 2 players who they have a rich history with each other. And I'd really love to see them, sort of kind of re-spark the fire between them and start to pick up some really nice results and kind of gain that respect as a top duo again.
The other trio mates of Stompy, Scram, and Refsguard are currently in 3rd place before this match that we're watching. This is the semifinals. A lot of games are happening simultaneously as the top 50 advance. And we already mentioned during the break with Kelly, where we took a peek at the leaderboard, that there's going to be so many big names that are not going to make it. Just to mention some of them, Wolfie CRR, Milan Chapix, Janice and Reason are currently rounding out our top 5 with Boomer and Mythic. Kezix and 4ZR at number 6, Clement and Nakos at number 7. So many players that had strong performances, the FNCS trios. And Chinken, though, was one of those players that was not part of that FNCS trios. I gotta double check, but I remember casting over it with Sundown. I don't remember spitting out the name of Chinken. I know he was in the qualifiers, as we see Xweez picking up a knock in the feed alongside with Wakey. So that duo is cooking up as well. But you mentioned you want to see Scrampy, Stompy, and Chinken kind of get that redemption, find some footing, man, to let the rest of the EU region know that they come here to play.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at their history, right? They're part of that German community, right? And I spoke about this yesterday with Shire. There's been kind of a German renaissance, right? So many German players really coming out and showing that they are top players, right? The reality is, I scream UK on top all day long, but the reality is the Germans right now are the top region in the EU. And Stompy and Shinken were the beginning of that way back in the World Cup days. So you see a fight breaking out here. I call it a fight, but more of a mauling here from Miles, picking up that quick elimination. And with Stompy and Chinkin starting that kind of revolution, it's unfortunate to see that they've kind of their names haven't been upheld in that of lately, right? Even though Stompy was on a good trio, right? So he played with Refs Guard and Scam, he was on a good trio. The respect hasn't been all the way there. DFab's going down to Shinkin now. Yeah, I've not liked the way DFabs and Rhea have handled this whatsoever. It's been not of the standard you'd expect from these two guys. Shinkin has a bit of an inkling as well. Yeah, he knew Reed was hiding away somewhere and shoots at the bush and ultimately takes out Reed down as well. So yeah, Reed and DFabs, if there's going to be an NA duo that, you know, makes that push into the top 50, at the moment, I wouldn't put my money on those two.
Of course, Gamma's Chinkin, like I mentioned, did not make the FSS trios, but his Gamma mates did of Marine, Thomas HD, and Cammy. So those are going to be the trio, the Gamma mates that are rooting on Chinkin. And Gamma Gaming picking up some great EU players. And speaking of org signing players, to give a special shout out to Lecce for signing with G2. G2, for those of you who don't know, has Coop on the NA side. So some awesome things are happening for the players in Fortnite. Some great opportunities being seized by them. And Lecce being one of those players who is running with Benji and Mr. Savage, signing to an awesome org. Shout outs to you.
Yeah, G2 a great org, and definitely a great way for Lecce to, you know, kind of dip in and out of free agency so quickly. Let's see here, Shinkin and Stompy gonna have to rotate in, right? That long kind of drawn out fight they had with Ree and DFabs have almost cost them a bit in positioning, right? I think they will be able to rotate in successfully, but you gotta worry about the teams up on them hills, and I think that's also one of the benefits, I think, of duos over trios, where in trios you'd be more punished in their position, where you're rotating in, you have a team sitting on a hill. It's a lot more difficult to navigate that as a trio rather than a duo. So fortunately to them, they probably will be able to get that one scotch-free and push into the end game.
You're seeing in the replay right here, Mark CBA gets a quick scope and then finish the knock with a great shockwave close as the teammate has to flee. So those are the things we're talking about. As there you see in the replay, in the sky, literally gets beamed right out. Those are the moments that you have to clutch. You know, when you lose your duo mate, you're gonna have to go solo. And you could get those clutch moments where you fight box to box, as we saw with Chapix, or you could just go ahead and play for placement. And those placement points are gonna rack up as much as possible. We're taking a look at the overall leaderboard. We're already seeing that there's going to be some great elim performances and points, but it is the placement points that will kind of get you right over that. And of course, not to mention the Victory Royale being the tiebreaker. So many teams are already tied around that top 50 threshold. So Awful in ninth right now, 22 points. So they have some work to do. And already you're seeing that this lobby is still stacked with a lot of people who are on top of the board. And the people on the top of the board are going to take a lot of opportunities away from these type of players right here who are trying their best to save their run. And that is always dangerous, Levin. It's just like, I hate to be in a lobby and you see it. Janice is here like, oh man, how am I going to get a victory royale against these duo mates?
I think, you know, when you're a top player, you can't afford to think that way. You know, it is a thing where, you know, that can play into your mind, but ultimately you just can't afford to think that way. Truck play not going to work out for these guys. In fact, it's going to be their demise, because Knight goes down there and in quick fashion as well, completely rolled, stomped all over, and just out of the lobby.
I gotta point out, so they went in the truck, and then a player named San Andreas, just like GTA, comes in and literally stops the truck and gets the elim. So many cross games is happening right here, man. I mean, so many things are happening, but now what's really definitely happening is look at this in game. It's going to involve a little bit of the hydro dam, and we already know there's a huge elevation here. This is the first time on the broadcast we're seeing in the DreamHack stage here in the semifinals an elevated finish, and if it drops more north, especially towards the northeast, that's going to be very difficult. As we did see Rasco and Artur a little bit earlier in a couple games ago, who were in that in-game. They did finish, I believe, top 3. So Rasco and Artur are trying to turn that around. Hey, but they're looking really good. 146, not bad, but you still have a lot of work to do, especially with the duo of Clement and Nako sitting right next door.
Yeah, big game is going to be important for these guys. I'm a fan of these guys, right? In terms of their duo, they have an interesting split on like the west side of the map.
Okay.
That they do, right? It's not like they don't land at like a main POI of any sorts, and you know, typical of their playstyle, they are more passive in the sense, and seeing them with no eliminations thus far isn't a surprise to me. I'm looking forward to their synergy within the end game, right? If they're able to make the right rotations and put themselves in positions to actually start picking up some eliminations on top of the placement points they already have. You can see here, the bottom left, Benji and Savage currently at 192nd place, which is not too amazing for them. Sancho, your pick to win things today.
I know.
You know, you need them to pick things up, bro.
I know. I think it's because Savage and Benji, I believe Mr. Savage kind of convinced Benji to land in the ruins. A little bit of different of a spot. It's usually, you know, Train Hard's ADN Matzo's Amplify spot. As Shinken does get picked up by Roxo, and here comes the Harpoon, the Clay Classic to kind of grab as much possible loot off of there. And you mentioned how great Roxo and Artur are. Their greatness showed in the FNCS Trios. They came in 4th place alongside with Kami there. So what a great performance there. You know, one of those teams that like kind of almost snuck into the third, you know, top 3. They were only 3 points away, and Flick, Anas, and Gamma's Thomas HC took that spot. So very, very close from Compendi here, but this is another one. Become Legend 10 had a unbelievable clutch moment in a 1v1 against Thomas AG and against a couple of trios in that end game. A highlight victory royale, and him pairing up with X-Weez, as you see, Hen with phenomenal tracking. Hen is going to be one of those players that if he gets a DreamHack championship after a really strong performance in the FNCS Trios, a lot of people are going to put a lot of stock in here. But look at the lobby. We got Kenzel and Wakey here as well. Wow, what an unbelievable fly-in from Hen and X-Weez. They have height and looking really strong.
Yeah, now Kenzel and Wakey, who you know, barely making it in at one point on the leaderboards, right? They're going to need to have a big game, right? You know, it's all good and well being on pace to qualify, but you know, you want to start to get ahead of that and really start to put yourself in a position where your qualification is guaranteed. And you know, it's gonna be big, right? Obviously, Kinzel, his trio teammates, Wolfies and CR, they're having a great day so far. They're having a blast, right? They're in a position where they will most likely be qualifying. You know, you don't want to be the person that kind of gets left behind, right? Especially considering that they split from you and you're not playing with them anymore. You want to be in a position where you can also be competing in the same competitions and keep your name way up there in the standings.
As we're gonna take a look here, Kinzel pairing up with Godson's Wakey. The Godson duo alongside with Michael had a decent run in the FNCS Trios. Were able to get to the heats. I believe they fell down to the wild card, unable to get in, man. Those wild card matches were intense in the FNCS Trios, but it'd be interesting to see what Kenzel could do without CRR and Wolfies. But you mentioned, yeah, they're having a great day, that trio, and they have priority. And as I mentioned, look, a little bit of the Hydro Dam now, it's moving away from that. So side relief there, because as you can see, that drop in elevation would have been so hard to navigate, especially going back up the dam. But now the lobby's going to be a little bit happy seeing it going down to the southwest side of things. Kenzel and Wakey have a really strong rotation. This is zone 6. 6, 7, 8, 9 are going to be rotating. And hey, you mentioned my duo mate, my pick, trying to pick it up. And Benji Savage just got a victory royale. That's going to be big for them. But considering that they're in the 189th spot, they still have work to do because only the top 50 move on as Kenzel gets a nice knock on this layer.
Yeah, and this is going to be really nice from Kinzel. In dire need for some extra materials, and they did profit a bit from that. But ultimately, it's not going to be enough, right? That's not the end of the story for these guys. They're going to need to do more. Rotations coming in now. Wakey leading the charge, and the bouncer play comes in. Shots through midair. Need to make sure they stay on path to stay in each other. You see Kinzel splitting up a bit and almost getting himself into a bit of a scary situation, but able to recover. And now they look back, and this is what I mean, man. Finding those right angles in the zone and positioning yourself to pick up some nice, easy eliminations. Swag goes down. And now these two are going to be able to continue to rotate on this front side of the zone. And I'm sure Kinzel's going to keep on looking at all these potential angles for eliminations. Racking up even more limbs.
That was huge. Kenzel literally saw a wood build and understood exactly what he needed to do. Lined it up perfectly and got so many headshots. And that is what they're doing. They're picking on those soft mats there and easy beams coming in through. Some nice work here. This is essentially going to look like a trio is holding tight, but it's just a duo covering the front and backside. And Kenzel with the edit down big play. Kenzel, yes, survive that brief moment. A little bit scary of the 50-50 situation, but right above them is Clement and Nakos, and they're looking for the edit down play. They go for it, but a big time cone blocked it. Now Nakos is in this box here. Now it's getting a little bit scary, 50-50s, but Wakey goes down, but here comes Kenzel. Gets Clement, the nice trade there. So now Kenzel is gonna have to get this siphon, but look at it. It's this little elevation here that's gonna be so scary, and you see it already. The storm comes in, Shockwave with the save. Yes, now in the front of the zone, Kenzel looking solid, but loses Wakey in that battle.
Yeah, and Kenzel doing well to stay alive himself there. Maybe a bit of a misplay prior, but regardless, that's not going to matter now. It's all going to be about staying alive and trying to pick up as many points as possible. He's going for a high ground play. It's looking like Catty Corner. Kid's shockwave launcher right now. He's trying to use a shockwave to bounce out the competition. Unfortunately, though, it doesn't work out in the way he may have hoped, because now he's going to have to drop down lower and opt to, you know, resort to the minis to sort of salvage any sort of health he can. And now just looking to maybe pick up a siphon to put his health situation back to a decent position. With the materials he has left, he's going to be forced to continue to drop down now as well. And it's starting to look a bit less likely for him to really make anything significant out of this game. But maybe with a shot here and there, he can really start to turn things around. And he does one shot.
Oh, no.
You don't want to do that, Kenzel. You don't want to do that. Come on, bro. You don't want to do that. He needs to pick up that siphon. He does. Chops down as well now, which is going to be nice. The crash pad comes in. Can he pick up more? He's already got the one.
My goodness, Kenzel is on fire with 8 E limbs, surviving by the skin of his teeth. One of the most disgusting things to say, to visualize. But now he has Nakos, and Nakos says, ha, I finished this battle that started a long time ago, but it is Hen and X-Weeze. Hen has been in this position before, and so is X-Weeze here. Really strong combination coming in from the FNCS trios with a sharp blade. Hen and X-Weeze with some 5 E limbs, and it's a last team here at 2v1. Vitality's Hawkers is holding on, but X-Weeze is putting on that squeeze right now. Duck on top, aka X-Weeze goes down, and Hen comes in for the finish and the victory royale. The superstar of building right now, becoming legends. Hen and X-Weeze get the victory. Let's go.
What an amazing game for the two of these lads, and hopefully we'll be able to see for more right after this break.